It's Mejia.
Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome to my first YouTube video ever. Welcome to the channel. As y'all can see from the title, today I'm gonna be breaking down a West Coast type beat. Let's get into it. Alright, y'all, so for the first part of this tutorial, we're going to be breaking down the drums. I was just scrolling, trying to go through the different drum packs and stuff, and I ended up finding this kick right here. So that's exactly the kind of vibe I was going for. I wanted to go for like a West Coast Battlecat beat. So as soon as I heard that kick, like I knew that was the one. I'm gonna go ahead and play these drums so y'all can kind of hear what the vibe that I was going for. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start soloing them one by one so y'all can kind of hear what each sound is doing. So it's like a super just a West Coast bounce to it. I was going more for like that 90s Battlecat type of sound. A lot of the sounds, they sound a little old school, but obviously it's a new era. So I still wanted to combine like both like that 90s sound with the current era. Then with all of the drums, I did end up just sending them to a different bus and I wanted to process them a little bit. What I did is I added a fruity balance just to kind of level it out with the rest of the beat. And then I added this J37. So that's pretty much it for the drums. So since we're in the verse section, before I get to the chorus, which has a lot of synthesizers in it, there are some like little transitional sounds I added just to make the beat a little bit more interesting. So one of those sounds is actually a layers, which is these two right here. So yeah, this is like I said, like this beat was inspired by like that 90s sound of West Coast and in a lot of that era of beats. It was super synthesizer based. Alright, so for these two sounds that I layered, I wasn't able to find the exact sound that I used for it because I already consolidated. It did come from what I remember from this plugin called Access. I'm gonna put you guys on like this one if y'all want some just like different synthesizer type of sounds. Like this is the go-to right here. And then another big part from the verse section and really throughout the whole beat is the bass line. By itself, this is what the bass line sounds like. Y'all can see with this one, I did add some processing to it. I just felt like the original sound was cool, but it didn't really have that low end like I wanted it to. I added some little radiator. So I upped the heat just a little bit, left the mix knob as it is. I added some fruity balance just to level it out again. And then I added some compression and these are the settings. And then I added some R bass just to make that low end really stand out a lot more. So I put it at the 45 frequency, and then I boosted it all the way to -1.5. And then after that, I added this parametric EQ just to make the mids pop out a little bit. So before and after, this is what it sounds like. Y'all could tell like it just makes that low end pop out just way more for West Coast, and especially if you're trying to go for that like 90s synthesizer era West Coast, Like that low end just has to stand out. It has to go crazy. The next part is these synthesizers right here, which only come in the verse sections. And the beat itself is very simple, which is what I was going for. It's really just the drums, just a little bit of synthesizer here and there. But for this sound, I really wanted it to make it stand out because everything else was so simple. So it just needed that like pop in the verse section. So I added this right here. Yeah, so this is another one of those transition sounds. I just really wanted to make something that is like memorable. And as soon as I played these keys, I was like, oh yeah, this is the one. There's two layers to it, and there's the same plugin access. So the first sound is this right here. And like that first sound, it was cool, but it didn't really have like that top end to it. So I decided to layer it and add this to it. And then together again. And then another sound I added in the verse section, kind of going back to the theme of just keeping it real simple, is this little synthesizer from Contact. It's from the Retro Machines Chroma Brass 1 preset. And this one sounds like this right here. Yeah, so for this one, I just kept it super simple. I just kind of added this one just to, start to progress the beat into what eventually is going to be like a real synthesizer heavy chorus. And then for the plugins I used for this, I used OTT with 75% depth and then the upward compression turned down to 0. If y'all haven't used OTT, it makes it sound just a lot more full without having to add too many other plugins to it. And after that, I wanted to widen it a little bit, so I added this Choral plugin with 100% width and 55% amount. And then finally, I added this compressor. So these are the settings for it right here. All right, so that's pretty much for the verse right there. So I'll just play it so you guys can hear everything in context. All right, so now for the chorus section, I won't be able to play it all just because my computer is bugging, so I'll just solo out every synthesizer. So for this first sound, I went back to Retro Machines and decided to play some chords instead just to make the chorus a lot more melodic. So these are kind of the settings for it. I usually just turn this fat knob up a little bit more and then I decrease the cutoff just so it's not too bright. This just solo, it sounds like this. So then for the plugins for this one, I again used OTT. I have it at 65% depth and then again with the upward compression down to 0. And then I wanted to make it sound a little bit more interesting. So I use this EFX Refract plugin and these are the settings for it. And then I felt like it just had a little bit too much of that bottom end that I didn't like. So I ended up deducting about 2.6 dB at 240 hertz. And then I brightened it up a little bit at 1903 hertz. So then before and after, it sounds like this. And then after. So it just sounds a lot more full and brighter too. And that first synthesizer sound was cool, but I just wanted to make it sound like a little more wavy. And there's nothing wavier than some Rhodes. So this is the sound that I ended up using. It's from Contact. I swear y'all, like Contact is like my go-to for every beat that I make. I ended up using this preset, the Scarby Mark 1, and then this one just sounds like this. All right, yeah. So for this one too, the original sound was cool, but I just wanted to make it fit more into this production. So obviously to make it really sound like cohesive with that first synthesizer, I added this EFX Refract plugin again. And these are the settings for it right here. And then of course I added OTT with the same settings. This is a quick little tip that I've been using a lot actually. Every time I use a Rhodes plugin, just to kind of make it sound a little bit more interesting, I add this Pancake 2 plugin. It makes the sound pan from left to right. With that, it just makes the Rhodes just sound a little bit more natural and a little bit more different every time each chord is playing. All right, so for this next sound, I had the chords already laid out, but it just needed that lead line to make it a lot more like memorable and catchy. So I ended up adding this from the Tau Uno LXV2 plugin, and then it sounds like this. So then with the chords, this is how it sounds like. All right, and then next up is the bass line. So for this part, it's actually the same bass line. The bass line itself sounds like this. So yeah, that was the bass line right there. So with all the synthesizers, it sounds like this. That's pretty much the beat right there. Like, I wanted to keep it real simple in the verses, just really let the artist shine. This is actually a song already that's out. It's by my boy Drew Lyra called The Land. So I just wanted to break that down for you guys. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube of how to make West Coast beats, but I haven't really seen any that's like kind of blends that 90s West Coast with this new era of West Coast. Yeah, so just let me know what you guys think. All right, y'all. So that pretty much wraps up the video. I hope y'all learned maybe a little something, picked up on maybe a different VST you guys didn't know about, picked up like a production technique. If you guys took away something from the video, definitely comment, subscribe. I'm gonna try to do 2 beat breakdown videos a month. And also I'm gonna be breaking down samples in the future too, and also doing sample flip challenges. I appreciate you guys. Stay blessed.